Hello guys, this is UniversalGiant, and welcome back to the Sinnoh Pokemon League in Pokemon Platinum. We've defeated Aaron, Bertha, Flint, and now Lucian. So all that's left is the champion, Cynthia. To me, she's the most memorable of the all five champions, I suppose, except maybe Lance, but only because Lance appears in 2 games rather than 1, and since they were the first 2. He's very difficult to forget, but Cynthia's definitely become my favorite. But that's enough talk. Let's get on with it. And Cynthia is a challenge. Epic pose is epic. She starts off with her Spiritomb, and I think this thing has a different move set. You'll find out why later. But I decided to go with Sore Winter and put this thing to sleep. Venusaur's not going to get very much love in this battle anyway, so I decide to lead with him just so I can deal with this thing and get it over with. I'm thinking 2 Petal Dances should be enough to knock it out, and if this thing doesn't wake up on the second turn, then I should be able to knock it out before it can do anything to me. But of course it gets the second turn wake, and it gets off a super effective Psychic. But it's not going to be enough to 2-hit KO me. I get off the other Petal Dance. This should be enough to take it out. So we're sitting in good shape right now. But unfortunately, it lives with so little hit points that you can't even see it on the video screen. And that's most annoying because she's going to full restore it. And Petal Dance is not going to be enough to take it out, and I'm going to get confused. So I've got a decision to make. Either I want Sore Winter to survive here and I'm going to let something else take a hit, or at the least I can try to get off another attack, and if I don't, then Death Fodder, I'll get a free switch later. So I go for another Petal Dance, I hit myself in confusion, and Sore Winter dies, but at least I get a free switch into Reaper, and 1 Ice Punch is going to be enough to revenge kill this Spiritomb. So he gets an Ice Punch straight to his face, assuming that's his face. I can't even tell. I don't know what kind of poke this is. But her Spiritomb is down, and it's an early 5-5. So she's going to go for a fighting type, knowing that I'm 4 times weak to fighting, being Dark Ice, which is her Lucario. And I debate whether or not I should go into Swampert and Earthquake it, but it's probably going to outspeed me, and I need Swampert at full health for later. So I go into my Infernape. I know this thing's not going to be able to take a close combat, so I decide to go straight for it rather than take a chance with Flamethrower. And knowing that she's probably going to go for something that can counter my Infernape anyway, the defense drop isn't going to be too much if I can one-hit KO this thing, which I do. So down goes her Lucario. I wound up training a Lucario in Diamond. Lucario's a really nice Poke. Fun to play around with. Definitely an interesting type pair. Anyway, she's going to go into her Melodic. I decide to switch into Phantom because I get the type advantage with the Electric. And I think I'm going to outspeed this thing, but apparently I don't. She gets a Surf off. Hopefully that's not a 2-hit KO, and it isn't. So I do get off the Thunderbolt, and I know that this thing is going to be at least a 2-hit KO. And it does a little bit more than I expected it to. But I put it into the range where she's going to full restore it anyway. It doesn't matter though, because I'm going to be able to live another Surf and take out this Melodic with 2 more Thunderbolts. So no surprises there, and so far it's been a pretty easygoing battle, all things considered. But that's going to change fairly quickly. Then her second Surf comes oh so close to knocking me out, but I live with 9 HP. I get off her 3rd Thunderbolt, and it's enough to take it out. And this is where things start to get interesting, because she is going to switch into her fabled Garchomp. Now this thing has attack and speed that are almost godlike. So I need to switch into something that can take a hit and dish out a nice 4 times effective ice move, which is Mudman, because he knows Avalanche. So as long as he can survive the one hit, meaning that if this Dragon Rush doesn't crit or flinch, I'll be able to get it off and at least put this thing into damage where I can deal with it with someone else. But of course she gets the critical hit, and the only counter for her Garchomp is down. So I need 2 turns to fully revive that thing, since I don't want to be a loser and max revive. But I want to make sure I'm getting consistent damage on this thing, so I switch into the only other poke I have that can take a Dragon Rush from this Garchomp. I go for the Toxic, knowing that by the time I have Swampert back to full health, Garchomp will have lost at least a third of its. So I go for the Revive on this turn, sacrifice Buzz. It's a shame that Buzz didn't get more airtime than this, but being able to take out Lucian's Alakazam and get the Toxic off on this Garchomp was crucial. So, Buzz, you are the underrated MVP of my team. Now, I need to sacrifice somebody to get Swampert back to full health, and I'm debating between Infernape or Phantom, but Phantom's down to way too low HP to be useful for me later. I'd love to have used it against her Togekiss, but I just wouldn't have been able to given the situation, and I need my Infernape. So, Phantom, I'm sorry, but... and her Garchomp gets a 3rd critical hit. I swear, Cynthia's gotta be hacking. But, thanks to the Toxic I was able to get off with Buzz. Garchomp is now down to a health level where I can take it out with 1 Avalanche. So, Cynthia goes for the Earthquake. I know I'm going to be able to take it if it doesn't crit, and since Avalanche doubles in power if I get struck with an attack before I use it, I live with 69 HP, I get off the Avalanche, and the biggest pain in the ass on her team is down, which is a huge load off. And of course she's going to switch into her Roserade to counter my Swampert because Grass is 4 times effective. So I go for my Infernape. And this thing should definitely take her out in 1 hit. So I go straight for the Flamethrower. Burn those roses right off her hands. And after this we'll only have to deal with her Togekiss. But more minimum damage hacks! And she gets off at Extra Sensory, and I am praying that this doesn't knock me out. Because I know how thin Hitmonchan's defenses are, but thankfully because it's not stab, I do survive. And even though she decides to full restore, I know at the very least Flamethrower is going to be a 2-hit KO. So I go for it again. And proving that the last one was minimum damage hacks, this one does wind up killing it without a crit. That was just my luck in this battle, I swear. So now she only has 1 poke left, and that's her Togekiss, 4th generation evolution of Togetic from the 2nd gen. And I figure I'll pull out all the stops right here. I know Togekiss has Aura Sphere, and that's going to tear through Reaper like a hot knife through butter. So I go straight for the Ice Punch, knowing that I'm going to die in 1 hit if it's not a 1-hit KO itself. So punch it straight to the face. Cross my fingers. And it's not quite enough. And here comes the Aura Sphere, and down goes Reaper. So all I'm left with are Infernape and Swampert, both of which are down to a 1/3 of their HP, meaning that they're not going to be able to take any hits from this Togekiss. So I have to switch into something that's going to outspeed it. The only one I have is Infernape, and thankfully this thing packs a certain move that I was able to give it via Move Tutor, Thunder Punch! So going out with style, I probably could have taken it down with Flamethrower, but I wanted to be stylish. And Cynthia, you've been defeated. part of why I love Cynthia more than the others is that she's especially nice about losing. Most of the previous champions in other games, they weren't as well. The one you think of most is Blue from the first generation, where he's just a jerk about it. But the other ones were pretty nice about it. It's just that Cynthia stands out most because she's very personal. Glad to take part in the crowning of the new champion. You wouldn't hear that from any of the others. So up we go, taking a lift to the Hall of Fame. And our pokes will get the recognition they so rightfully deserve. Overall, I think the 4th generation is okay. The graphics were certainly a step up from the 3rd generation, and they're, in my opinion, even better than those of the 5th gen. Maybe I'm just old-fashioned that way. But overall, I just don't think the 3rd and 4th generations can live up to the first two. I'd probably rank this as the 4th of 5, but it's not too far behind first generation. I mean, in terms of ranking, I'd probably go 2nd, close between the 1st and the 5th, and then 4th and 3rd. But that's not to say that the 4th generation doesn't have its high points and its low points. It does, and it can be pretty good. But overall, it's just, it doesn't feel right to me. But regardless, Platinum was definitely a fun game to play through, and if you guys haven't touched the 4th generation because you guys were as stubborn about looking at the new Pokemon games as I was, hopefully this set of videos has changed your mind. I don't know how or why it would, because it's the same battling mechanics as the others, but it's definitely worth the experience. So if you've never played these before, go ahead and pick them up. As our 6 Pokemon are inducted to the Hall of Fame. Sore winner, Mudman, Reaper, Hitmonchan, Phantom, and Buzz, who, by the way, was a reference to Buzz from Earthbound. That's going to do it for the Sinnoh Elite Four. This has been UniversalGiant, and I'll see you guys next time.